So the marching arts activity is no stranger to controversy, whether it's controversial shows, controversial results. We get all kinds of stuff, whether it's things like WGI Winter Guard. WGI Percussion. Or drum corps. Controversy is something that happens all the time. So what I'm doing with this little mini series, if you will, is I'm going to be having a look at what I consider kind of the most controversial shows in the history of drum corps. I'd like to do WGI. Unfortunately, those shows are just a little bit too edgy, and I don't really plan on getting my channel canceled today. So, yeah, Justin and Jen wouldn't thank me very much for that. So we're going to stick to relatively tame controversial subjects. However, that being said, the show that we're going to look at today is controversial for a couple of reasons. Number one, it was a completely different style of show than what this corps had done in the past. It was also at the beginning in the kind of the experimental phase of electronics, and this corps had taken such an entirely hard swing to the left that people didn't quite know how to react to it. And that is, of course, we are talking about the 2005 Cadets. Paraphrasing the late, great Michael Boo, this is a show that shouldn't have worked. We didn't know whether the corps was coming or going. They had uniforms that were opposite, both front and back. The color guard came out originally with some masks over their heads that had faces in the back of their heads. It was a crazy show. The actual subject matter was a little bit nuts as well. The show, of course, being the Cadets 2005, The Zone. Was it 4 parts and a door? I think is what it was. It was the total. Was the total title of the show? But we all just know it as The Zone. It was a crazy show. It was hard to follow to this day, and I've watched this show more times than I care to count. I still have no idea what the hell the show is about. What I do know is that it's a damn good drum corps. In fact, it was so good that up until that point, with a score of 99.15, it was the highest scoring corps in DCI for a number of years until 2014 came along and the Blue Devils beat it with Fellini-esque with a 99.65. That being said, this show is... It's a head scratcher, but it's also one that's well worth watching, and that's what we're going to watch today. So if you're looking forward to that, stay tuned. And thank you so much for coming back and joining us here at the Marching Arts Network. Just on the other side of Christmas for me. So whatever you celebrate, whether it be Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever, I hope you had a great celebration, a great festive period with your family, and that you spent time with people that you can at least tolerate a little bit. I did not get beard dye for Christmas, as you can see. I need to go sort that out myself. However, that being said, had a great time, and now we're back in the swing of things. I hope you enjoyed our little Christmas compilation that Justin put together. And then, so we've got some great guests coming up on the podcast in the next few weeks as well. One that we're keeping under wraps, but we're really, really super excited about, which will be coming out in January. Anyway, so today's show that we're going to be watching is, as I said in the intro, 2005 The Cadets, and that show was titled The Zone Dreamscapes in 4 parts with a door. It was a controversial show because of a number of things. Number one, it was the beginning kind of period of electronics amplification and electronics. We didn't really quite know how to use it, and like anything, you know, you think like when you were a teenager and you got your first car, you probably drove like a complete jerk because you had all sorts of freedom to do so. As you get older and you get a few speeding tickets on that, you kind of slow down a little bit. It was that way with electronics. When electronics first came out, the course just went absolutely nuts with them. Outside of that as well, we didn't have the full-time audio teams like we have now. So what you tend to find is those early days of the world of electronics, things were overbalanced, and we just used electronics for the sake of using electronics. And that was very much so evident in this particular show. By no means, though, were the cadets the only corps that was guilty of this. Who can forget Yowza, Yowza, Yowza? I'll probably put it up here somewhere.
And the winning couple is... It's been 1,000 hours. Yowza!
What? I love the Blue Devils, and no disrespect to anybody that marched that year, but what an absolutely abomination of a show. Sorry, I can't stand that show. Anyway, the Cadets show, the 2005, though, was controversial for a bunch of reasons outside of the use of electronics as well. It was controversial because of the visual element of the show. The cadets were a corps. Mind you, we haven't really got into costuming yet. Corps are still wearing uniforms. And out came the cadets in what could only be described as a costume, almost like a caricature of their uniform. It was the basic block colors of the normal cadets at the front, but then at the back, it was like a white version or a cream version of the uniform. Even so much so the Shako even had the brim at the back of the Shako as well as the Silver Eagle at the back. So the corps, you couldn't tell whether they were coming or going. The color guard came out in these kind of like a leotard type uniform with these masks with faces on the back that almost looked like the Joker's face. It was just visually bizarre. And we haven't even talked about the actual show yet. The show is where it starts to get really bizarre. I've watched this show numerous dozens of times since 2005. It's one of my favorite drum corps shows in the history of the activity, and I still don't know what the hell it's about. I know there's a schoolgirl in there. She goes to a door and she comes out wearing a hard hat. And the whole time they're playing the music of Kill Bill. But truthfully, none of it really particularly matters because, the show is really, really good. Oh, there's also a little bit that we haven't talked about yet, and that's the percussion feature. And the percussion feature that features drum speak, as evidenced in the thumbnail of this video. So, anyway, enough of me yapping. Let's get these cans on, shall we? And watch the damn show. Here we go.
On the field, sponsored by Youth Education in the Arts, presenting their 2005 program, The Zone. Dream.
So there you go. You can see the uniform from the front looks pretty normal. Just watch for it when they turn around.
Escapes in 4 parts with the door. Drum Corps International is proud to present The Cadets. Are the judges ready?
There you go. You see the kind of ghoulish faces on the backs of the heads of the color guard there.
Drum Majors Will Plink and Jim Zulik, is your corps ready? The cadets, you may take the field for competition.
So some of the stuff that I really like about this show is I'm a huge fan of what I call visual velocity. I love it when I see corps absolutely hauling ass. There you go, the backwards uniforms.
You unlock this door with the key of imagination, beyond another dimension. A dimension not only of sight and sound, but of mind. Next stop, the Zone.
Okay, I have no idea what the hell he's talking about. So something of note, real quick, before I carry. Unlike Justin, I stop videos. Sorry. Something of note to keep an eye out for that I just maybe would like to point out. We have electronics, we have microphones, we have amplifiers. What we don't have yet is synthesizers. As you better look at the backward shakos. So something I think that's in there that's really smart from a design perspective, there's one prop on the field, and that's that door. And if you look throughout the show, the core is pretty much interacting with the door without directly interacting with it. What I mean by that is they build their show around the door. So you look, I mean, anytime that there's a lot of drill movement going on, it always seems to be going on around the door. And it's not just because the door's on the 50-yard line. It just happens to be that's the way that they've designed the show. So things I liked in that opener, again, was lots of visual velocity, lots of musical velocity as well. So, and now we're gonna dial it down a little bit now. So this, of course, being Dancer in the Dark from Bjork. One of the things I like in this is the percussion in the background. It's got this almost primal feel to it, which leads nicely into the next piece where it's the Jay Bocook original, which almost has a Medea feel to it. This is such beautiful writing here. I've not even touched on their guard yet. Their guard was amazing that year as well. Which will, when we run through recaps in the end, I'll touch on them a lot more. But again, super effective guard work. And again, we're featuring the guard right in front of the door. Ooh, like butter that. I love how the featured dancers directing the drums here. It's almost like she's melding them into her own vision in her mind. What a beautiful piece of music. Well, that's something I miss, is actually hearing tubas. So it's 2005, we're any key, we've got electronics. Like I said, what we don't have is synthesizers. So we still get that lovely, raw, bottom end brass sound. Oh, did I mention controversy? Here we go. Sorry, I'll rewind it back to the beginning of the percussion feature. So yeah, so this is like the part where people lost their shit. Pardon my French. So for those who know me know that I've been around Drum Corps Planet since the very, very early days. And this show, so Drum Corps Planet came about in 2002. I think we got our first real set of proper moderators on Drum Corps Planet around 2004-ish. And up until that point, we had never had any real reason to kick or ban anybody from the site. Until the 2005 cadets, and specifically the next part of this show, which I think will absolutely speak for itself. So I'll rewind it back here a little bit. Here we go. It's always cool as well when they can just sit there and say, right here, there you go, percussion judge, find something wrong. How do you judge that? And that was the question that was being asked all year. How do you judge that? Which caption is it? Is that percussion? Is that GE? Nobody quite knew. Funny little thing is, before I put this video together today, I watched and listened to the percussion judge tape from this show. And when the percussion was doing the drum speak bit of the feature, you could hear him. He doesn't say a word during the entire thing, but what he does say at the end of the drum speak, he just goes, nice hurt us. It was like he felt like he needed to say something, but he didn't know what the hell to do. Anyway, sorry about that. I know I stop videos a lot. Sorry. But damn, they were good. Dude, this is very Medea feeling this bit here. Again, we're featuring all of our drill around the door.
Ladies and gentlemen, the cadets, under the direction.
So that was the 2005 cadets. Now, it should be said that this, as I said, this course scored a 99.15 at DCI finals. They won finals by a comfortable margin, about 1.5 points, I think it was in the end. They swept all captions. That being said, this show didn't start out the year so great. They started out a full 5 points adrift of the Cavaliers, and the Cavaliers beat them 7 times that year. The Cavaliers, I believe, were the only corps to beat the Cadets that year, and they beat them 7 times. And even coming into finals, they were still within tenths of each other. So this show took a good while for the judges to warm to. That being said, I don't know how much the actual drum corps public warmed to him. I think they did years later, but it didn't happen straight away. And that's the reason why they're on this compilation of the most controversial shows in DCI. So that'll be it for today's video. In the next video, we're going to be looking at 2014 Boston Crusaders and their show Animal Farm, which was a giant middle finger up to the activity. So, and then we'll be following that up with 1988 Suncoast Sound. And then for the final of this series, we're going to be looking at, well, I'll tell you, I'll put it this way. I'm going to put 1988 to bed. So I'll fix 1988. Anyway, so that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you're not already subscribed, it'd be great if you could hit the subscribe button. Helps us out a ton and is absolutely free. While you're down hitting that subscribe button, we do have a merchandise store where you can get, of course, your marching arts hoodies and we've got, what do we got? We got some pretty cool hats and stuff like that. So all kinds of cool stuff there. Great way to support us. Is a great way to support the channel. As I said, we do have some really cool stuff coming up with the podcast over the next couple of weeks, but that is it for this video. So thank you very much for watching. As I always say, no matter who you're doing it with, no matter where you're doing it, no matter when you're doing it, no matter how you're doing it, just when you're doing it, make sure that you march on. Ciao.